But now we're going to stick with the NBA, Martin. And LeBron James and JJ Redick have started a new podcast called Mind for the Game. Obviously, you listen to JJ Redick, and he's a very intelligent basketball mind and was a good player. Obviously not great, not an all-star, but he was a good player. He was more than just a shooter. He was mainly a shooter, but he was good enough to start and, had some nice seasons.
He was a college all-timer.
Yeah, college he was great at Duke. He's a Duke all-time great at Duke. And he's better than the Steve Kerrs, the Tim Leglers, you know what I mean? The Kyle Korvers. Those guys were just purely spot-up shooters. And, of course, that was his forte and what he did best and mostly. But he was a level above them.
Real quick, when I was in high school, JJ Redick was one of the players I tried to model my game after. No kidding, when he was at Duke.
He was nice.
That was the
so
same
how
time
close
period.
did you come? So was your game shooting?
Yeah, I could shoot. But
really?
I never got past sophomore year JJ because I couldn't handle the balls. I could shoot and I could jump. That was about it.
It's interesting because I don't know how much time you spend around young players today, but I bet two things let me say, I bet there are a lot of guys that can handle the rock.
Mm-hmm.
That they probably practice it more. Now, they do let you carry today, so that helps it out. But I just think today, I bet so many young players are focused on handle and three. And I tell young players, look, work on your handle, man. Because if you know this from playing, if you have a handle, nobody can mess with you.
Yep. You don't
have to worry about full court pressure. You can get where you want to on the court. And especially if you're a guard, and you don't get frazzled by people really getting up in your grill defensively because you handle so well, that's a huge advantage. So young cats out there, or you fathers and mothers who are working with your young boys, work on the handle and the J. And I'm even going to say the mid-range, Jay Martin. A lot of kids want to just work on the three today. But I would say don't forsake the mid-range. I get it. The three is king right now. But if you've also got a mid-range game, think about if you got handle, you got a three. So you handle, you can get to the bucket, and you got a three-point shot. What are they going to do with you if you also have a mid-range game?
And
they don't know if you're going all the way to the cup. They don't know if you're going to take the three. And, that I think one of the great things about the greatest finishers, Martin, I think have the mid-range game. Because if I'm driving, you don't know if I'm going all the way to the hole or if I'm going to pull up and stop on a dime and shoot that mid-range jumper. Jordan, Kobe, Kawhi, a lot of the guys that really Kyrie, they're great finishers. They can shoot in the mid-range.
Well, if you're not a three-level scorer, you can't be a great one. So that's part of the problem right there. And it's honestly one of the knocks that I would have on Jayson Tatum, a guy we're about to talk about, because that, I think, is what's stopping him from being like one of the – obviously he's a great offensive player,
right,
but really taking the mantle of being one of the all-time great offensive players is he don't pull up from the mid-range. He's got no midi. It's all three or trying to get to the rim.
Well, let's talk about him because LeBron James, I mentioned their podcast, LeBron and JJ Redick, and they brought up Jayson Tatum, and here's what LeBron said.
There's a great saying that says the best teacher in life is experience as well. And we look at Tatum, he's 25 years old. He's 25 years old, and I believe he's been to the conference finals 4 times, been to obviously the NBA finals once. He's 25. I didn't win my first one until I was 28. I think Joker won his first one at 27. I think MJ was 28 as well. We have a lot of expectations on JT, but he's experienced a lot of winning in his career so far. And obviously, we everyone wants to see him get over the hump, but 4 conference finals in a finals appearance before the age of 26 that's elite. And like you just said, he's continued to grow, and they are in a position where they can make another title run. And like you said, personnel helps. Adam Porzingis and getting Drew for a bag of Lay's potato chips, that helps as well. that helps as well. But JT is definitely when you go and you start scouting for Boston, he's the number one guy for sure.
Here's the other thing, because I think LeBron makes an outstanding point. And here's one point he did make, Martin. Jayson is 26 now, just turned 26 recently, in his seventh season. So in his 6 seasons that have been completed, Martin, the dude's been to 4 conference finals. All right. And I would argue he was definitely the best player on 3 of those teams.
Sure.
If you want to say the first year, Jaylen Brown was better. Jaylen averaged like 2 more points than Jayson did in that conference finals against Cleveland. You can go there, but you would say, I mean, he's been the best player at this young age on a conference semifinalist or conference finalist, I should say, 3 times at least. And you might even want to argue he was the better player that year for the Celtics. I'm looking up now, was he their leading? You know, you had Kyrie on that team, but remember, Kyrie was hurt
by that
point. So Kyrie was their best player, but he got hurt during the playoffs. And that's when, you know, Tatum kind of stepped up and began to become what he is. But what are your thoughts on what LeBron said? I think it's pretty fair.
I think it is fair, and I think when you look at Jayson Tatum, it may be a question of just not if, but when, because, again, he is almost always in the conversation of he's almost always in the Final Four of the NBA, right? You look at where he ranks for his age, I mean, he's top 10 in almost every relevant playoff stat below, I mean, for guys who are under, or now he's 26, obviously, but because he just turned 26 2 weeks ago. But from 25 and under, he's third amongst NBA players in playoff points, right? Trailing only LeBron and Kobe Bryant. 6th in regular season wins. Like, he's a guy, again, 4 conference championships. I mean, he is the type of guy to me that we criticize because he hasn't gotten over the hump. Very much like Jokic was criticized for not getting over the hump. Then once he got over the hump, everybody was like, okay, exhale. He's one of the greats. All right, cool.
And
he's one of the greats.
There's some fairness to that because, I mean, Michael Jordan, look, Jordan was beloved by a lot of people. The Come Fly With Me videos were before he won a championship. The Jordan sneaker phenomenon was before he won a championship. So I'm not going to sit here and act like, you know, Jordan wasn't beloved before the championships. But, Martin, there was a lot of criticism of him. There was he can put up all these numbers. He can score all these points. He's flashy. His game looks great, but he's not Magic or Bird. I had debates about that, and that was written all throughout the papers and things like that. And everybody kind of goes through it. LeBron, again, everybody recognized how great he was, but there was criticism of him until he started winning championships. And so this is fair. And you're right, Jokic is a great example. Because Jokic, I mean, the analytics guys loved him, but a lot of people were like, man, come on. This dude, you know, he's slow. He puts up these numbers, but what's he doing in the playoffs? So, look, this is kind of just how it works when you're that caliber of player. You know, you get criticized. It's kind of like, Martin, your high school coach or whatever level, saying, if I didn't believe in you, I wouldn't yell at you.
Sure.
Be worried when I don't say a thing to you anymore, because they yell at you because they see the greatness in you that they want to bring out. And that's kind of like, you know, Jayson Tatum. Be worried when don't nobody criticize you because you don't win.
Right.
They're like, oh, all right, you know.
I mean,
they don't think you that level.
All of the things that are true about Jayson Tatum's playoff career in terms of the wins and losses in series and so forth are also true of Jaylen Brown's playoff career. And we're not having the same conversation. All due respect to Jaylen Brown.
As great as Jaylen is, he's just not as good as Jayson.
But, I mean, Jayson Tatum right now, he you know, Chris, he's 4th in playoff games played before turning 25 years old, trailing only Kobe, Tony Parker, and Kawhi Leonard. Right, so 74 playoff games. That's a ton. He's got a ton of playoff experience, but we do it selectively because we want to forget the closeout game they had against Philly, right? Or the game that Philly
51, wasn't it?
Exactly, 51 in a potential elimination game, right? Like, he's had big time moments on big stages. It's just, has he gotten it done on the biggest stage? Not quite. Then it doesn't help when you lose to a playing team like Miami or something like that. But, like, it's really, to me, one of those moments where we do this a lot in sports, where you'll take the best player and criticize him as a result of the team's success or failures. And that's what it is with Jayson Tatum for me.
Quickly, before we go to the next segment, do you think this is the year they get it done? I got Denver over Boston in the finals.
It's going to be tough because I just don't love the way that they play. Like we talk about Tatum that have a mid-range game. Nobody on Boston really has a mid-range game, and we see it every year in the playoffs. You have to be able to have bucket getters on your team, guys that can one-on-one win their matchup and turn the water off when the other team's on a 10-0 run, a 12-0 run. You give the ball to this guy, and you know you're going to get a good shot, get to the free throw line, get an and one, something to slow down the other team. Boston doesn't have that. Boston is playing math at a way that I don't think will be rewarded in the postseason.